I got paper tape and hot glue. Put them both together and what do I do? Hey friends, welcome on back to the Dave Yourself channel. My name is Dave and this is my channel. I appreciate you coming on back. As you notice in the title card, we're going to be talking about today paper tape and hot glue. That's right, the much requested and long anticipated video series about what these two products mean to me and how I use them in pretty much every day of my RC existence. Not only for adhering things to planes, but also for repairing planes. These two particular products are fantastic for both of those. So, plus you can pretty much get them anywhere, which is also a bonus. But we're going to talk about that a little bit more about what they are, where they are, how you get them, and how much they are shortly here in the video series. Of course, if you've noticed my videos, you notice that all of my videos have to do with putting cameras on planes, as many cameras as possible, hopefully, and then also with other video sources on the ground as well. And it would be awesome, and of course, it's super nice to have, say, like a 3D printer where you can print pieces like, say, like this for the Aero Scout that goes on top that you can just bolt your run cam to and take off. But I do not have a 3D printer, and even if I did, it's way above my brain level to work with. So I have to rely on the kindness of my subscribers, such as yourself. So thank you, Master Blood, for sending me these. So I go with them a little bit more of a lo-fi technique on something like that with using the paper tape and hot glue, because as cool as this is, of course, that is where that mount is supposed to go, and pretty much only where this mount is supposed to go. Although I could move it using paper tape and hot glue. But we're going to leave that one there. But say you want the camera in a different spot and you don't want it to fall off. You don't want it to go anywhere, but you don't really have a mount to put it somewhere else. Well, that's what the paper tape and hot glue comes in, because that's exactly what I did here with the Aero Scout when I went ahead and glued a little bit of a mount for an Insta360 Go 1 on the bottom here with a little paper tape and hot glue. So that's primarily how I use it, besides repair techniques and things of that nature. So in this particular video series, we're going to probably go ahead and talk about both of those in two different series. One with regards to here, we're going to talk about the products, how I use the products, and then we're going to also put some stuff on the Aero Scout here. Some stuff you would expect, some stuff, well, that you'd probably expect to be if you're a fan of this particular channel. So some stuff that the plane needs, some stuff the plane doesn't need. We're going to put that on the screen. And then the second video series will be more about how I use it to repair the planes and things of that nature. Maybe we're going to put a little card in the corner right here so you can see one of the videos where pretty much 70% of the plane was all paper tape and hot glue. And even though it's still having an issue with flying, when it hit the ground, it never broke. Again, another testament to paper tape and hot glue. So we'll put that video link in there as well. So check that out. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get this together. I got my apron here, so we're going to go ahead and get this thing thrown on. I got a hat cam on, so I can get some good close-ups for you as well. So if you want to stick around and see exactly how I use this stuff and maybe how you can use it, and maybe see if you'll actually learn something from this series, well, you know what I recommend you do. You stick around. All right, friends, welcome back. I appreciate that sticking around. So we're going to talk a little bit about the paper tape and hot glue themselves here. Let me show you exactly what I've got for today's presentation. So what I've got here is obviously just a bag of hot glue, some regular old short sticks, long sticks, short sticks, whatever, but the full-size jobs. I think these are multi-temp. Nonetheless, got those at like Walmart for a few bucks. And then the paper tape. Now, I have done a lot of research on paper tape. I have used all kinds of paper tape, and that always seems to come back to these two particular rolls here in this package here, because I can't seem to find any other paper tape that comes in a 2-pack at this type of price, as well as porous but yet still as sticky as I need for paper tape. And it's this particular product here, which I believe is the Equate product that you can pick up at your local, unfortunately, Wally World, but it's only less than $3 for 2 rolls, and haven't been able to find it anywhere else cheaper than that. So this is the particular product that I always tend to use. So If you win in bingo for me and win it, this is the stuff that you'll win if you see me using it in videos. This is the stuff that I'm using right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how I use this particular product and why I use it. Now we're talking about with this product, you'll get it in the first aid section of your favorite store, say Wally World or whatever like that, or by where the Band-Aids are. There are different types of tape, of course, the waterproof stuff, the clear fabrics, clear type tape, mesh stuff that's like plastic, and then you also have the fabric type tape, and then of course you have the paper tape, and what you want is the paper tape. You can use the other tapes, but when it comes to using the other tapes, especially like the waterproof tape, it's too expensive, and really you can just use duct tape and just cut it into strips. It's the same stuff, and duct tape's way more flexible than what you can use it for. But so I use this particular product. The neat thing about with the paper tape and why I use it with the hot glue is because the paper tape is porous. So if you pull a piece of it off, and we'll do that here in a bit, but when you pull a piece of it off, you can see through it because it's porous. It's not super porous. It's opaque basically, but there is enough porousness there or porosity that when you're using the hot glue, it will absorb through the paper itself and help adhere pretty much anything that you stick it to. And then from there, you can stick anything to it to help it also adhere. So we're going to show you kind of like what I did with the camera base there on the back of the Aero Scout here. But this is the product that we'll use. I've got my hot glue warming up here, so we'll get that ready to go. But what we're going to do on this particular Aero Scout is, I'm going to show you how to, this particular mount that I've got on there right now, which is this one here on the tail. I'm going to show you how to get that off. Okay. There are a couple of techniques in doing such a thing. So it just depends on where it is and how worried you are about it, kind of thing. So we'll talk about that here some as well. And then we'll also get into sticking some other things on the plane. So stick around. I'm going to go ahead and get the hot glue loaded up there, and then we'll go ahead and get that inside. And I'm going to go ahead and throw this hat cam on so you can get some nice close shots as well. So stick around. All right, friends, now I've got my hat on, so we're going to go ahead and get this Aero Scout looked at so I can give you some closer view here and how I've got this adhered to the back of the Aero Scout. Give some close-up views there, and as you can see, even though it's nice and secure, I can go ahead and peel off my mount, okay, and then you just peel off the paper tape, Bazinga, and there you go. Now, to be honest, these two spots were already scarred up before, so that's not from the paper tape and the hot glue because there's none on there, but that was from scraping it up before. But nonetheless, that makes a great spot for it, and what we'll do is we'll re-adhere something like that maybe in this area. As a matter of fact, I got this white light that probably needs to go on there, so we'll put that down in that area, and we'll go about showing you how I do that. So stick around for that as well, and we'll go ahead and put on some of the other lights there. And then, so I've got the easy lights. That's what I want to get on the plane here. Faux show. You can kind of see some of the other things here I've done with some paper tape and hot glue by putting what used to be the mount bracket just on the bottom of the camera, so I didn't have just the bracket itself, because originally this was the camera I think that I had on my hat cam back in the day. So that's what that was all about. When you're using paper tape and hot glue, sometimes you got to wrap these cameras that are these rubbery textures or whatnot. You got to wrap those first before you can adhere them, because hot glue just doesn't stick to these things. You can use paper tape and hot glue on mounts for like GoPros and things of that nature by just putting some paper tape and hot glue in there and then mounting just this part to the plane, still having your bracket there. And then, of course, as you saw, mount pretty much anything you want, anywhere you want. And we'll go over some of that here. So here with this, get the old paper tape here. Let's throw that up there. Let me show you some of this, what I'm talking about how it's opaque. See that? You can kind of see the pores in there a little bit. So that's what I'm talking about. This stuff happens to be the best when it comes to porosity, as I was talking about. It's moderately tacky, and it's a first aid tape, so I mean, if you put it on your skin, it doesn't hurt when you pull it off because it's not that waterproof stuff. Yes, it still holds on good, but it doesn't hurt when you take it off. And that's why it's so great for foam planes, because you can put it on foam planes and it doesn't hurt when you take it off. So that's really why I got into it in the first place, because I wanted to find something that was cool with that. I originally started using this particular product because I had crashed a plane and needed to fix some cracks with it. So nonetheless, what we'll do is I'll show you how I use this stuff. As a matter of fact, let me get, you know what? I do want to also mount these on the Aero Scout, only because I'm silly. But these are a couple of Bluetooth speakers that work in pair, and then a little iPod type thing that you just put in the Aero Scout. I think I'm going to mount it so one is facing forward and one is facing rearward underneath the wings here. That way when the Aero Scout flies by, it'll be playing its own music. Sure, why not? So we'll probably do that here as well. But yeah, so that's what we're going to work on. So this stuff is fantastic when it comes to obviously white planes, because it does match exactly with the plane itself. You can't even tell it's on the plane when it's on the plane, which is fantastic. So if you get a little crack or something, this stuff is really great to just kind of cover it up, or a little ding in the wing, ding in the nose. Matter of fact, I got a ding right here in the wing, which we can cover up. We're just putting some paper tape over it, just smoothing it down. Without pushing into the ding, that'll just smooth the wing right back out. You'll never even know that it had a ding in it. So that's why I like to use that stuff. But when you use it on stuff like, say, like these easy lights here, of course, these things have super smooth bottoms, and making sure that they adhere, something else. Well, we'll go over this technique, but what I do is I apply some paper tape and a little hot glue to the bottom of the light itself, and then do the same thing to the plane, and then a little bead of hot glue, boom, stick them together, they're done. The cool thing about this is that when you are done, they don't fall off the plane, but when you're done, you just peel this stuff right off. And then here's the original layer of paper tape that also just peels right off. Now you can't do that with anything else. Matter of fact, I'm gonna leave that on there because we're gonna glue this on here in a second. But that's the other reason why I like the paper tape and hot glue. And here's the repair properties I was talking about earlier, just about how strong this stuff is and how flexible it is. It's like literally like flexible fiberglass, because you have a fabric mesh inside of a glue bond, and it really helps. And especially in that Viper video, when that Viper hit the ground again, it just bounced and everything bent and all that kind of stuff. That just bent and then it went right back. So that's why I like to use that stuff for repairs. All right, friends, here we are. So I've got the hot glue ready to roll here. We're going to go ahead and show you how I apply this and how we're going to do it on some foam. I have a spare Aero Scout tail elevator type thing, so we're just going to do that on here. And what we'll do is we'll just do it on the back where it's nice and smooth, so you can see how that works out. But I'll show you what we're going to do about putting a mounting bracket there, and then I will show you exactly how to mount something to it. All right. So that's how we're going to do that. As a matter of fact, we'll just use something like this right here. Okay. So basic principle with paper tape and hot glue is figure out where you're going to put something. So here we're just gonna mount this thing off to the end here. Okay, off to the end. So what I want to do is just prep the area a little bit with some paper tape, and depending on how big your item is, so it'd be enough for making two here. Okay. So just put some paper tape down right there. And put another piece right next to it, overlapping. Bam. All right. So that's how something like that will work. All right. Pretty much the same principle like with this mount here. As you can see, it already has a little paper tape and hot glue on it, but basically this is what I did. Bazinga. Then wrap it around the edges. Okay. There you go. Now we're going to go ahead and prep these areas with the hot glue itself. I currently have it set on hot, which is fine for this, but I'm going to turn it down to low. And we'll do this part first, because it's basically the same process. So you're just going to put some bead of glue on there, and what you really want to do is you want to have a nice thin bead going all the way across the item itself, just to smear, just one dot that you can smear over the whole thing. I usually start in the middle, kind of do little circles, work my way out. So I'm just going to do a something like that. You can keep a little pressure on the trigger just so that it keeps gliding, but you really don't need much of any glue here. You'll see it start to saturate the paper. And since this already has paper tape and hot glue on it from before, with this hot tip on here, it's also going to help melt that stuff together. So this piece of tape I just put on here is going to be melted on there pretty good. Then from there, once you got the bead on it, just go side gun here. Just kind of smooth it out. Okay. Bam. There we go. You got a nice little prepped up surface there. Probably use a little bit more. I see it's not shining so much here. Let's get a little bit more shine here. We want it to be even. One solid surface. There's the shine. There it is. All right. And on something like this, or it's a mount like this, you can always come up the sides a little bit too. And again, just a tiny little squish. Just kind of round your edges using the tip of the gun to kind of melt everything together to make sure that that tape that you put on there is stuck to not just the bottom but also the sides. All right, so there we go. So a nice sheen there. That looks pretty good. We should be good to go there. All right, so same process here. And I turned the gun down earlier, so we should be in good shape. So we'll start here, and then we'll just kind of do the little circle through the same process. And you do not need to come off the paper tape. If you do, it's all right. But at the same time, you prefer it not to, because you don't need it. All we're doing here is we're turning the paper tape, which already has its own adhesive, into something that is super sticky with an extra adhesive. And the heat kind of puts everything together. All right, so I'm looking at this in the glare, so I make sure to try to stay off the foam as much as possible. All right, I'm not going to really try to worry about side gunning this so much because it's inside here on the plane, but I could just swirl tip it a bit here. Get the old swirls, smooth it out a bit. But the fact that it has a little texture on it anyway is actually just fine because you want a nice adhesion. Now, the reason, again, why I would use something like this as opposed to, say, like Velcro is because that even if you use the super hard plastic Velcro, with the planes and stuff, you're going to get some vibration, regardless whether or not the plane is vibrating or not, just from the weight of the item itself. However, when you mount them to the planes like this, there is no vibration from the camera shaking because it's mounted directly to the plane itself. And from there, if there's any vibration, it's only because the plane is vibrating. All right, so there's the basic process there. I've got this prepped up, got that prepped up. Basically, the easiest process here to stick these together is just a little bead down the middle. And again, you don't even need much here. I'll give it a little bit more at the tail there. Kind of dribbled off a bit. But anyway, you don't need much there. And then from there, you, of course, make sure you're mounting it right. And then when you mount it, what I do is I just stick it down, and then I just give it a little twist back and forth until it mounts where I want. Bam. Okay. Give it a second to set up, but boom, that's kind of how the mount process works. And then from there, you can just mount your camera. Bada bing. All right. So as a matter of fact, I will even show you. I'll take this out of here. Bear with me a second. All right. There we go. Paper tape and hot glue. Not bad, right? So that's that holds on pretty good. Just a little paper tape, a little hot glue. That's all it takes. All right. Now, but Dave, how do you get it off? Well, there's a couple ways you can do that as well. So let's go ahead and get this camera up out of here. Okay. Now, if you kept the hot glue off the foam, then you're really only dealing with the paper tape here. So if that's the case, then you can just give this a little pull. Make sure it's coming off all right. And just work it a bit if you want. Pull it off. Now, if you're worried, hey, that might pull off because, you know, the paper tape and hot glue stuff works pretty great. You're right, it does. Do I have a fix for that? I do. That fix is, just like find it. Oh, there it is. Hair dryer. All right, so you saw me trying to pull this off. Uh-oh, hot glue gun. There we go. So I do have a fix for that as well, and it's called a hair dryer. So you saw me trying to pull it off, and of course, even though I didn't put a very heavy bead of glue on there, that thing stuck on there pretty good already, because it doesn't take much, right? Once you get those two spots sealed, so you can go ahead and hit it with the hair dryer. That's the magic about having the hot glue, because once it starts getting warm, it gets more gluey. So we can go ahead and help get this off with use of a hair dryer if necessary, and if handy, which I do happen to have handy. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit here so you don't have to listen to it, or at least mute it. So here you go. All right. So there you go. So you see that it's peeled that off, and it's also peeling off the other paper tape and hot glue. So let me go ahead and just grab that while I'm at it. And bada bing, besides having some stickies on there, we've got ourselves some decent looking foam. It's got a little bit of stickiness on there, of course, from earlier, but not too bad. So there you go. Minimal damage at all. And if you clean it up with a little bit of residue cleaner, very little, if any, damage there. So there we go with that. So that's how that would work. And that's how you would mount something to your particular plane. That's how I mounted it to the back of the Aero Scout. That's how I would mount anything pretty much to a plane and be able to get it off. That's exactly how I'm going to mount these easy lights as well. So let's do that. Coming right up. All right, friends. Well, I've got this camera off and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and take these wings off before we put the lights on to make it a little easier to do, as well as make it a little easier for you to see. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and speed it up right now. All right, friends, there we go. We went ahead and got the wings up there. As you can see, I even have some paper tape holding the bind lead. I just had it taped outside of the plane underneath the wing. So again, paper tape's perfect for that, because just like the tack it's on, it's kind of like a little bit more than a post-it note, so you can just stick stuff up and pull it down. It doesn't cause any damage, that kind of stuff. But speaking of damage, like I said, we do have a couple of little dings and stuff like that in the wing, so I'll show you how to use paper tape to fix those too. And we'll go ahead and do a little bit of that now, and show how that work out. All right, so a little bit of a ding in the wing when you got something like that. A little one right here. So there happens to be a little bit of a seam line underneath the Aero Scout wing. So you can just kind of, and then wrap it over very lightly. Make sure you don't push down into the divot itself. And then smooth the paper out on top and on bottom. And bam. There you go. Now you got a nice smooth wing spot there. Got rid of that little dinger there. And it was right here. There you go. Nice and smooth there. So that's how that works. All right. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put those easy lights here. We're going to do the same principle that we did before. And as a matter of fact, let's see. Because I was thinking, remember, I want to put these Bluetooth speakers on there. Like I said, maybe aiming these, maybe aiming these down on the wings, like that maybe. That way the sound's always shooting straight down. That might work. We'll put some thought into that here. First, let's get these easy lights on. All right, so obviously, right side of the wing, left side of the wing. So, right is green. Now with these are quite a bit lighter than anything else, say like this. So this isn't terribly heavy, but at the same time, it's these are way lighter, so I'm going to need less of everything to make them adhere to the plane. So really here, I just need a strip of paper tape that's roughly about the same size as the plane. Again, they have this seam line in here, right here where the molds are seamed, so I'm just going to put the tape right there. As such. All right, again, this is the right side, so this is the green side. And then with the bottom of the light itself, do the same kind of thing. Obviously, don't need as big of a piece. And then from there, I'm going to tear the tape in half and put it on there. And I'm going to use both pieces of the tape here. Give it a nice soft paper bottom there. And then we're going to do the same thing like we did before with putting a bead of tape on, or glue on there, and then smoothing it out and sticking them on there, and bada bing, that'll look like that when it's all said and done. So I'm going to do that with the right side here, the left side there. I think I even have some corner wing ding down there on the left side, so we may do some more paper tape repair with that. And then from there, we'll go ahead and mount the white one as well. And we'll probably put that one, we'll see about where I'm going to put that one. But anyway, so let's go ahead and do that. And of course, I'm going to go ahead and speed it up for you so you don't have to sit there. So here we go. All right, friends, so there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and take care of this little scuff right here at the edge of the wing there. I don't know if you can see that too well with the lights, but a little bit more of a scuff, just kind of like in the middle of the wing we had over here. Same side of the wing, as a matter of fact. So something like this here on the corner with the paper tape. Since it's on that corner, it's going to have to do a lot more bending. So when doing a repair of something like that for a touch-up with paper tape, it's a little road rash action, especially right here on the corner. You're going to want to do kind of the same thing as I was doing with the lights. You're going to want to use smaller strips of the paper to make sure it'll wrap around that damage. So we'll come up over it like that. Come up over it like that. Okay. I'll just put a little bit more there. To stiffen it up. And then I'm just going to use the tip of the hot glue gun to kind of just smooth the paper out a little bit. Not actually using any glue, just using the paper tape itself and whatever glue is stuck to the side of this nozzle. Although I could glue these tips so I wouldn't have to worry about that causing any additional damage there. But anyway, there you go. So I went ahead and fixed the wingtip here. Now it's nice and round again. Now it's nice and smooth again. So there you go, a little paper tape rash repair there. So that's how we'll do that. Now I did have some paper tape that I put on. Now this is what happens if you put paper tape on when it is too hot. You can see this right here. I did this at the Birmingham field. The gun was on high and I thought it was on low when I put the glue on. So it will go through that paper. It will pull the foam up. So you got to be careful when you do that. But again, this is the area where I'm going to use that mount anyway. So it's all right on this particular plane. But there we go. We got the green and the red light on there like that. And then now we'll just go ahead and figure out where we're going to put that white light. The other lights, the red and the green, are on the bottom of the wings because those are more for me while I'm flying. We'll put the white on top since that's more for other planes and things of that nature. With the Aero Scout, you do have some options. You do have this area up here at top, which the light is just a little bit wider, but being at the very top like that is a pretty good spot. Won't get blocked by anything, hopefully. So let's see. We may go with that spot, or let's see. That's not in the way of the prop. That would keep it out of the camera angle if it's blinking. I can't put it there because that's an air inlet. Underneath here, that'll block the air inlet. Plus, that'll be too well hidden. I don't know. I'm kind of liking that top area, to be honest with you. I think that'll be the most visible spot for it. All right, so let's try that. So that's kind of a thin spot, just a little bit thinner than the width of this light. So, but I think it's the best spot for visibility to be able to see the plane, and for other craft to be able to see the plane as well. So we're going to do the same thing with the paper tape here. And we're going to kind of rip it into smaller pieces here. Because again, it's just about covering the surface with paper tape. It doesn't necessarily need to be pretty. And plus, here's the other bonus of the paper tape. When you put it on, can you even see it? No, that's another thing about this particular brand of the paper tape. This Equate stuff or whatever, it just happens to be the exact same color as white foam. So there you go. I got it on the tail. You can't even tell it's there. I can see it because, of course, there's a sheet in here. It's dull here now, but besides that, you can't see it. So pretty good stuff. All right, making sure the gun's on low. It is. Same technique. But here, since I can't really go swirly too much, we're just going to go up and down. There we go. But I can do the side smooth thing. I originally discovered this technique when I was doing repairs, and we'll talk about it more when we get into the repair video in the next video, but where I would use hot glue and put it into, put some broken foam together, whatever, push it together, and the hot glue would come out. Well, I'd just swipe it with my finger or something like that, and of course, swipe with your finger, kill yourself sometimes when you do that. So I had some paper tape laying around, so I was like, hey, let me just put this over it, and I did, and then I ran my finger over it, and of course, it didn't hurt at that point. The glue was still scalding, but afterwards, when the plane crashed eventually later, everything just was destroyed but that spot. And I was realized, like, hey, paper tape and hot glue, maybe might be onto something there. So anyway, I've been on a quest ever since to find the perfect paper tape and to find more creative ways to put this stuff on things. But as far as these lights, though, this was really like one of the first things that I would do, was to use this paper tape and hot glue to put these lights on because it's super easy and super effective, and you can put them on planes and then take them off the planes later and just glue them on something else. And depending on whether or not the tape comes off the light, a lot of times you have to put more glue on it if you pull it off the paper, which is right. You just heat it up with the glue gun and just stick it right back on something else. But anyway, pretty much all of my planes have little paper tape and hot glue under, or a little paper tape spot underneath all the wings like that, especially the white planes. Now you may be asking, but Dave, how do I put lights and stuff like that on a plane that's painted? Ah, I got a technique for that too. So with the painted planes, of course, it depends on how pretty the plane is or how much you love the plane, things of that nature. But with the painted planes, if say it is a plane that's really pretty and you don't want to scrub the paint, but you need to prep a surface somewhere for it, you can use clear box tape. However, caveat to that, some of those box tapes suck when it comes to tackiness. So you got to get the good stuff, the thick stuff. But you can cut out a square of clear box tape, put it on the plane wherever you're going to want to mount cameras. You can put them all over wherever you want them. And then from there, do the paper tape and hot glue thing to the clear box tape. And then when you go back, make sure that the box tape, obviously, like something like this, you'd want the box tape to be about the size of a business card kind of thing for something like this, because you don't want to pull this off and it pull the box tape off. You know what I'm saying? So that's another reason why you want the box tape to be sticky. But the good thing about the box tape is that it's super smooth. So these things peel off great afterwards, and then you can just stick them back on there and leave the clear box tape squares on your plane, and nobody will ever see them. If the plane coating isn't so pretty or something you're not so worried about, or you want smaller squares, things like that, then that's where your invisible duct tape comes in. The bonus about the invisible duct tape is it's not super smooth. It is, but at the same time, it's got a bit of a texture to it, so it does help the glue adhere a little bit better. And you can almost just do paper tape glue on the light and just stick it right to the duct tape itself. Although I would still use a little paper tape on here first, but nonetheless, you can use this. And then, of course, these things still clear, but you're going to have more texture, things like that. So planes that you may not care about the paint job as much, but you still don't want, to have just white paper tape on stuff, clear duct tape. If not, then get the good box tape with the good adhesion on it. And I don't even have any of that stuff because all the box tape I find is crap. So, all right, let's get this bad boy on there. And based on the way this is shaped, it's pointy, fat. So we're going to do that same thing here. Pointy in the front, fat in the back. A lot like me. Let's see here. Keep it away from that hinge. And there we go. And now you got it. Now you got a nice light mounted there. You don't have any Velcro in between there to make a big fat seam or anything like that. Plus the Velcro on the bottom of the foam itself. When you try to take this light off, it would come off there anyway. But there you go. You get a nice clean looking light install. Little paper tape and hot glue. And same thing with the ones here. Little paper tape and hot glue for the light install there. So there you go. You got full lights installed there. On that, with just a little paper tape and hot glue. Next project we'll work on will be putting the speakers and stuff on here. But I think for right now, this is enough to give you guys an idea of what it is that I do with paper tape and hot glue. I'm going to noodle out this speaker idea a little bit more first. But I think this would be fun because these are, let's see, kind of hard to find the on button with these things. But these things are, like I said, they pair up to one another, which is awesome. And somewhere there's a switch on these things. That's one of the things I have the hardest time. Okay, there's the plugs. That means switches on the other side. So anyway, they light up and everything. So yeah, so that I've got this little Bluetooth thing. So you can do all kinds of things. You can record or get recordings of like plane sounds or whatever, like that, jet sounds, do whatever, music, whatever. But I think it'd be fun to have something like like the Aero Scout, like jet plane sounds or something coming out or something like that. This is another way to do something like that. And of course, the Aero Scout will totally handle it, but I think it would be pretty cool have them up underneath here somehow. You guys can't really see that, but maybe have them up underneath here sideways or something. So the Aero Scout's got a little bit more light. It's pumping out some sound as it flies by. The issue is with the Aero Scout, I don't know that you'd be able to hear the sound. That's why we're going, yeah, I hear you. I got to find your off switch again. Such a tiny little switch. Okay, there's the plug in. It's got to be on the other side. There it is. Anyway, all right. So I think that's enough of this particular video. We're going to work on this. I'm going to noodle that out a little bit. Make sure I can get those things to stick on there good. But of course, when I do, I'll be using paper tape and hot glue, of course. And in this particular next video that'll be coming out, we'll talk about more about repair type things, kind of like some more of the wing ding fixes and things like that, but more fixing hard broken foam, that kind of stuff. So we'll get into that in the next video. But until then, I am Dave. I hope you like this particular video so far. If so, please give it a thumbs up and a like. I'm still on that 1,000 sub hunt. So if you guys happen to have not subscribed, please consider doing so. I've got a big giveaway coming up once the 1,000 sub mark is hit. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure you comment 1,000 in any of my comments in any of my videos so that you can be part of that subscription contest. So if you want to be a part of that, you know what I recommend you do. Well, you certainly stick around, but you also go ahead and subscribe too. So until next time, I am Dave. This has been part 1 of the paper tape and hot glue video. I hope you enjoyed it. And stick around for part 2. That's coming up soon. So until next time, I am out of here.